Hello everyone, Random's House here. It's been a few weeks since I've made my last video, and I wanted to provide an update for my thoughts on the XYO currency now that I've had some time to do some more mining. Been having a burner phone go for 3 weeks straight. Also got additional sentinels so that I can leave one at home and then travel with another one. And wanted to share the math, some graphs, and my thoughts. Also wanted to dive into a little bit of how the XYO currency can add value to any other kind of industry, and what could drive future earnings potential for this platform. Is it worth it, and what is XYO worth it to a normal user? Before we get started, I want to show you what I've been up to. I've added an XYO Bridge, got another Sentinel so that I can travel with a Sentinel and leave one home. I also got a burner phone that I run 24/7, just mining when I leave. And when I travel, and I'm driving, I keep my main phone in split screen mode. And a little later I'll show you how to set that up so that you can continue to use Google Maps or any other apps you might need on your phone, because it's kind of annoying to have this app open 24/7. I'll include a link in the description on how to set up and download the image for a Bridge X. Before we get into that though, let me show you my setup. So that's my burner phone. Bridge X, basically a Raspberry Pi. Put it in a Raspberry Pi 3D printed case, and then the two Sentinels. One of them I leave home, the other one I travel with. A little bit washed out, but that is the Bridge X screen. You don't have to have a monitor set up on it. You can just plug it in once you set it up the first time and just let it run. I haven't figured out how to get any coins from it. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It kind of seems like it doesn't do anything, because everything the Bridge X can do, you can already do with the XYO phone app. And as far as I know, you don't actually get any coins from running that app, so it just kind of wastes energy. And on another note, if you're watching this, you've probably seen a lot of ads on Google and Facebook. I continue to see them all over my pages, and I did some research into the company. Based on their annual reports, they're spending like $5 to $10 million a year on advertising. A lot of their revenue, most of their revenue, including money that they're borrowing, is going to ads. So that's part of why you're seeing them everywhere. In a future video, I'm going to go over their annual statements and what I think of the company. As opposed to this video, I'm looking at the product. One thing I think that's important is, what is the currency based on? So where does it get its value from? According to the XYO network, it's a decentralized network of devices that anonymously collects and validates geospatial data or data with a geographic component. Basically what that means is you're validating geospatial data, so location data using GPS, validating that at that location you can prove that you and those other devices were there based on the history that you create with all the data. So that said, let's look at some of the case studies, what XYO Network says that their product is good for. So they say they provide resources to interested teams and industry to create secure location data ledgers. Industries and the customers they serve need trusted, tamper-proof data about location. Blockchain technology allows data to be permanent and chained, which ensures high mobility assets and error-prone processes are tracked, monitored, and reliable. Teams in industry that think of utilizing these resources for location data is a benefit for consumers as well, which we feel is a public good. So some of the use cases that they say is airports. So baggage gets lost all the time at airports, and the airlines seem to be improving, but they're still pretty terrible at it, and it really sucks to lose your bag. So XYO is claiming that by carrying around one of these things all the time, it can somehow help airlines not lose bags. I think it's a little bit of a stretch, since most people that are using this thing are driving. That's when you're going to have the app open. So then they say hospital. So for medical equipment, identification of both patient and staff, a single misplacement or mistake can mean the difference between life or death. So they can verify location, reporting that is critical for, I guess, people and equipment, and somehow reduce errors. The implications could reduce prescription dosage errors, prevent unnecessary procedures, and ultimately save lives. I'd like to see exactly how that works. And this is important because if this currency doesn't provide any sort of value to somebody, then the value of the XYO coins and tokens are basically worthless, and you'll never be able to sell them. So they say that they can provide service to e-commerce, for example, last mile courier like UPS. If they encounter an XYO node, the node records their location, and then it being a decentralized system means that they can offer a third-party verification for locations of packages. Essentially, when Amazon is delivering your package, it can track it all the way. Amazon already does that, so I'm curious how much value added XYO would be for something that companies have already figured out. Insurance, from mobile phones to sports cars. So they claim they can help locate lost or stolen property. So I guess if your token sees a car that is sending out some Bluetooth signal or is receiving some Bluetooth signal, now you've place that car at a specific location, and XYO can sell that data to an insurance company, who then works with the police to recover it. So I could see that actually having some value, but the challenge would be, how do you get the device into all of these things? So cars, phones, everything else. How do you get those cars to output this signal that these things can monitor? So they also say national security. So XYO network can confirm a weapon is exactly where it's intended to be. If people walking around with these things are looking at weapons, I think there's probably a bigger problem. Rental cars. I think rental cars make the most sense, but you need some sort of device outputting Bluetooth for these things. And then drones. How will accidents be prevented? How will package delivery be confirmed? XYO network can provide independently verified location data that can help keep drones within approved flight paths. So this is talking about, it says avoid collisions with both moving and stationary objects and report package location at key points. Avoiding collisions is definitely a pretty wild exaggeration of the technology. But to go through a blockchain to share your location in real time seems like a pretty big stretch. So they're claiming that XYO technology will help drones, rental cars, national security, insurance, e-commerce, hospitals, and airports. I think that's pretty cool if they can actually get it to improve those industries. But I fail to see how they could implement it in a way that makes sense and saves people money, because that's how, at the end of the day, they're going to add value to the XYO currency, which is what everybody's mining. Next thing I want to talk about is the chart. So as of today, XYO token or coin is worth about 0.00035. This is a pretty big jump from 3 weeks ago when I looked at this. 3 weeks ago, On the 9th, it was about 0.0002. So it's almost doubled in 3 weeks. It's a cryptocurrency, it's got a lot of volatility, so it's somewhat normal. But something they did has caused the currency to spike. But if we go back all the way to the beginning of this thing, it started out at about 0.004 dollars an XYO token. Now it's at 0.0002. So it's dropped considerably. But you can see it started out at 0.0045. It peaked in December of 2018 at 0.0056. And then it just slowly started dropping. 0.0026, 0.0015, 0.00058, 0.00046, 0.00025. So it's kind of bottomed out at 0.00025, or at least it appears to. That was in January this year. And it has bumped up a little bit, so 0.00037. Or maybe that is an indication that they've actually figured out how to get this technology to add value to some industry, such as rental cars or something that we had discussed earlier. One thing that's important to note is Coinbase does not support XYO currency. And that's important because that means it's going to be really hard to sell your XYO tokens. So you essentially have to redeem it for XYO or Ethereum or Bitcoin and then sell that. But Coinbase is one of the better venues for selling these things. So that means that you're probably not going to keep your money in XYO as soon as you are able to take it out. Probably going to convert it to Ethereum or Bitcoin. I took a look at market caps, and so XYO, the market cap of that currency is about $2 million, maybe $3 million today. If you compare that to Bitcoin, Bitcoin is about $172 billion. So XYO is 0.00001 fraction of what Bitcoin is. So you can see early 2019, the volume was about $42,000 worth of XYO transacted in a single day. When it first came out, it was about 170,000. 170, some days 8,000. But with that said, right now it's between like $2,000 and $10,000. So this isn't a very liquid commodity. People aren't selling it very much, which means they're not buying it very much, which is part of why the value of the currency is so low. To put that in perspective, Bitcoin is 172 billion market cap. So XYO is a tiny fraction. Ethereum is 24 billion. Monero is 1 billion. Bitcoin is, XYO is 2 million. So it's an order of magnitude less. I think a good analogy would be like XYO is the banana stand, and Bitcoin is the billion-dollar industry. So it's like the entire banana industry versus a single banana stand representing XYO. Let's look at some of the calculations. What is the value of the coins that I mined? So one thing I need to correct from my last video, XYO is actually closer to 2 times coins. So for every coin that you earn through the app, you can redeem it for about 2 XYO tokens. So thank you to Red Bacchus and Alex DeVault for that information. Couldn't find that documented anywhere, so you really have to have experience using the app in order to know that. Let's take a look at what the current value of these things are. So to buy 0.025 Bitcoin, it's 511,000 coins. Get a little battery charger worth about 46 bucks. It's going to be 106,000 coins. Xbox One and PlayStation 4, 3 weeks ago they were on the order of about 500,000 coins. Now they're about 882,000 coins. So they've gone up quite a bit. What that means is about 2,000 to 3,000 coins equal $1. So if you get the 10,000 minimum coins that you need to redeem this, you can redeem those 10,000 coins for about 3 or 4 bucks. What you could also do though is you could convert your coins into either Ethereum, Bitcoin, or XYO tokens. And if they're correct about redeeming 1 coin for 2 XYO tokens, you can redeem your coins for XYO tokens, and then the equivalent cost. So once you get those XYO tokens, you can sell those to somebody, and then the amount of XYO you need to buy Bitcoin or an Xbox One is like a third. In the case of the Xbox One, you need 337,000 coins if you first sell it to XYO, then sell the XYO, and then use that money to buy an Xbox. So significantly cheaper just to convert it to the XYO currency, sell that, and then use that currency to buy whatever you want. They've got a pretty big markup. Another thing that I've done is I've actually tested my phone to see exactly how much battery it drains, and I found that it drained basically a 3,500 milliamp hour battery in 10 hours, and taking the average cost of electricity, 13.5 cents per kilowatt hour in the US, and extrapolating that out, total estimated cost of powering your phone is going to be like $1.50. So still the electricity is negligible. One thing I did find though is I made quite a bit more than I had originally expected. So on my burner phone that I've left on just 24/7, just running in the background for the last 3 weeks, I've made just under 10,000 coins. And then on my main phone I've made about 4,300 coins. So making that over 3 weeks, that means in 1 hour I make about 28 coins, in a day 678, in a week close to 5,000, and then in a month 18,983. But in 1 year 227,000 coins essentially, which has a value of about $168. So if you're trying to buy an Xbox One for $250, then it might take you about a year and a half or a year and a quarter to get there. So actually it is quite a bit more valuable than I'd originally thought. So one thing about the new Sentinel, you don't get to pick the color. It's 12 bucks for shipping, but $12 for shipping is it's kind of a rip-off. So obviously they're charging you for the device through that shipping cost. It's a trick a lot of people do on eBay and Amazon, but shipping at most is a couple dollars, and since they're charging you 12 bucks, they baked in the cost of this device. And looking at this device, it's got a plastic shell, very little electronics. Actually, let me open it up. So you can open it with anything, you just have to pop it a little bit. And you can see there's a giant coin cell battery in there. And it's just an extremely simple circuit. Basically it's a Bluetooth sensor, obviously, and it's a battery. That's pretty much it. Collects data, very little data, but it does collect data. And there it goes, so it still works. I bet they're buying those circuits from China or having China manufacture the whole device for less than $1 each one. Coin cell batteries aren't very expensive, and there's all kinds of electronics that are very cheap. So if they're manufacturing it for $1 and they're charging you $12 shipping, when it's probably costing them about $3 at most for shipping, they're still making about $8. So if you look at my calculations 3 weeks ago, I calculated in a year you'd make about 12 bucks. And that I also calculated in a year it would cost you 80 cents for your phone. So it's basically double, and so it's actually not bad. And I've heard stories of truck drivers and people that are making tens and thousands of coins a week. So there is potential to make some money on this. In closing, after reviewing the numbers and correcting some of my math, and based on current XYO prices, you can actually make $150, maybe $100 a year just letting a $20 phone sit in a closet somewhere and continually mine. So those are my thoughts. I think it does make sense to pay 20 bucks to have a phone just sitting around in your house somewhere mining. At $1.60 for energy, you're making potentially $100, $150 a year. So that's not nothing. I think that makes sense. That's not that much effort and not that hard to set up. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more in the future, please click the like and subscribe button below to support my channel.